If you're an ambitious man who wants to build this lean, strong, confident physique that he knows he is capable of building without living in the gym, then this video is for you because I'm going to be breaking down on this whiteboard here exactly how I get my clients results by building them programs that work with their life. They're balancing travel, stress, work, and other things that most bodybuilders and men going to the gym 5 to 7 days a week just don't go through. So by the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly how to build yourself a program that works with your life and not against it. So first off, let me just introduce you to the philosophy. My training philosophy is not the whole, you go to the gym, everyone's talking about more equals better. Work harder, not smarter kind of mentality. Like harder equals more progress. That is not me, right? I don't believe in that because if that were the case, we'd all be going to the gym 7 days a week and getting these perfect physiques. Now, this works if you have all the time in the world. But if we're busy men, we may only have on the calendar like Monday, like Monday nights or like Wednesday mornings and stuff like that. And the rest, we're like traveling, we're working, we're a family. It's a lot to balance around. And honestly, we're not trying to be bodybuilders here. We're trying to have a schedule that works with us. So the whole more equals better mentality, that doesn't apply to us because if we did try that, everything else in our life would suffer. And what would end up happening was, maybe we would make progress. Like if you can imagine this being like a graph of like progress and like days going to the gym. Maybe initially it would go straight up, we're having fun, going to the gym every single day. But eventually we're gonna hit like this like threshold point where it's just too much, it's been too long. We're gonna go down just ever so slightly and all of a sudden it's gonna go right back to zero and we're back to our old habits. Now, I prefer the other way around, right? Where it's gonna be a more sustainable approach. I'm not into the whole more equals better mentality. You work harder, not smarter. I like the mentality where it's going to fit with your schedule, where we look at your schedule and allocate, okay, how many days can we actually go to the gym? Like in that previous example, I said Monday and Wednesday. Okay, perfect. We have 2 days out of the week to go. And if you look up any study online, they're going to say all that you really need is to go to the gym 2 times a week, hitting all muscle groups twice a week, and you can build yourself a pretty great like body, right? That's all that you need. Any more than that, and it's kind of a waste. Like, yeah, sure, you might be going to the gym a little bit longer than you're doing these sessions. Not like too long, but maybe like 75 minutes max if you're talking to people around the gym. But people, they think 2 days, oh, that's not enough. But it really is. If you're not trying to be a bodybuilder, if you just want like that healthy, strong, like lean, confident body, that's really all that you need. You don't even need 75 minutes. You can honestly get by like 30 minutes because something is better than nothing. Optimal is what works with your schedule, not against it. Like everyone likes to pretend it isn't, right? Another thing that I want to kind of talk about too, like now that we got this point done, how it's frequency. Obviously, we need about 2 to 4 days a week in the gym, so that's 2 to 4 times a week. Not 5 to 7, not like every single day, but 2 to 4 days a week is really all we need for the frequency. The next point I want to talk about is efficiency. Speaking of time. You see all these people on social media saying, oh, if your workout isn't more than 2 hours, are you really lifting? And these fuckers are over here on like the leg extension machine over here, just on their phone the entire time, not even like putting in any effort. They're doing like 4 sets of leg extensions. If you can just imagine that being a leg extension machine right there, just on his phone the entire time. It's a horrible drawing, but again, I'm a fitness coach, I'm not an artist. But efficiency is gonna be everything. So we don't want to do what they do. They do like 4+ sets of bullshit, of isolation workouts, it's like talking to their friends the entire time. I'm not shitting on these guys, but at the same time, come on. If you're gonna talk shit on social media about working too hard, you're getting some shit right back, right? So we want efficiency because we're busy. We're not here to go to the gym to like conversate. We have our socialization outside of that. We're here in the gym to work, right? So we're not here to do 4 sets of bullshit. And most of these people, they would love to have something to do outside the gym, but they just don't know anything else. They're more misdirected than anything. If they had their own business, they would not be doing this. They're just Young, ambitious men like us, but they just kill time. And for the final point I want to make will be about okay, so efficiency. Also, like for workouts, we're looking at 60 to 70 minutes max in the gym. No more than that. Even 75 is pushing it. I usually average on like 45 to 60. But, if you're talking to friends, if you have people in there, it may go up to that point. But if you're at your home gym, 30, 45 minutes is like the average that it could take you. That's just like, keeping things realistic. Life isn't always going to be perfect and whatnot. The last point I want to make is about simplicity. You do not need all of these overcomplicated workouts that science-based lifters and bodybuilders are trying to throw at us. Instead of having these these like 65-degree bench press, like fucking bullshit, all that you really need is just a normal bench press. Or if you really want to, do an incline. My whole philosophy is that you find workouts that work out with you. That was extremely corny, I know, but it's true. So you find workouts that you like, that that you can like consistently do for decades. You're not just gonna do bench press one week and not like it, but think you can only do bench press, or like do like the science-based lifting bullshit. Like, oh, I can't do a bench press. I can't work out if I'm on like my trip if I can't do a 65-degree bench press. Like it's not optimal for my goals. What's optimal is whatever gets you off your ass and doing the workouts. So that's where simplicity comes in. Now we have our philosophy covered. Frequency, simplicity, and efficiency. The next point I want to make is talking against the whole isolation myth. People say you have to do all these different variations of isolations. Your workout's got to be 2+ hours. Fuck that shit. Double middle fingers up. I don't give a fuck. Compound movements. These guys are king. They target. How I mentioned that we need to hit muscle groups, like all your muscle groups twice a week. Compound movements are gonna make that process so much simpler. If you only had 2 days to dedicate to the gym and you didn't do these, if you just did a bunch of isolations, you would be shooting yourself in the foot because your workouts would be 3+ hours. With compound movements, we're gonna cut that time like more than half, like 60 minutes, 60, 70 minutes max. And the compound movements that I'm talking about are going to be the squat. And the hinge. Both these will be your lower body. Your push and your pull. And this isn't really a compound, but it is part of the process, and it's going to be your core. Now, we'll start, and I'll put upper body here too. Squats, right? That's pretty basic. It's a fundamental human movement. Whenever you're going down to sit down, you are squatting. Now, part of the lower body, both these target pretty similar muscles, but this will be more like quad focused. Or the kind of like, I don't know if you can see, but like the front part of your leg, your thigh. Quad focused. And some examples of squats, there's 2 variations that you can do. There's front and there's back. Front squats. There is the traditional front squat. There's the zerker. And there's the goblet. Back squat, high bar, low bar. High bar, low bar, or even if you're on vacation or a trip, you can get like a backpack. If I had a backpack on me, I can show you, but like pretend I have a backpack on me. If you put like on like your shoulders and you went down to squat, and that's like your weighted workout, you can get creative with things. I personally like the front squats more. So if I were to have the imaginary backpack, it would be like kind of like in front of me instead of on the back of my shoulders, where I'm going more like that, right? Where the weight, it's called front because the weight is in the front. It's called back because the weight's in the back. I feel like front squats work better for me, so I do those over back squats. And I know I'm not much of a squat fan, especially since I do a lot of running. My legs get pretty sore. So what gets me doing my squats is a variation that I like. So I choose the front squats, and specifically the Zercher squats. Throughout this video, I mean, you can go look up online like at any time and see like search up the exercise selections and look them up and just see like what would work for you. Now, time for the hinge. Hinge, it's pretty simple. That's like a hamstring focus. If you can imagine the quad being the front leg, the hamstrings, hold on, you can't even see it, but stupid tripod. Your hamstring will be like the back of your leg, the back of your thigh, or whatever you want to call it. So that's more hamstring focused. So think about like your deadlifts, conventional or sumo. Your RDLs or your Romanian deadlifts. And again, if you're on vacation, and honestly, just throughout any of these exercises, you can easily do them at home. You can fill up a backpack, put like weighted books in there, like water bottles, and that could be your dumbbell. You know, you don't need to grow muscle by having everything perfect, right? You just need some sort of like weight to do and some sort of resistance, and your body will make muscle. Sure, dumbbells, barbells are gonna be easy to move, right? But you know, you don't need perfection, right? As long as you have like the necessities, like the basics, that's all that you need. You don't need to overcomplicate things like I talked about earlier with my simplicity part of the philosophy. You just need stuff that you have. You know, you work with what you got. Again, part of the philosophy is that you work with what you got. You work with your schedule. You work with the equipment that you have on hand. Okay. Rambling off a little bit, but I don't care. This is an authentic video. Whether you like my personality or not, fuck you if you don't like me. But if you do like me, welcome. Fucking thanks for the support. Push. Here we go. We got horizontal and vertical. And same for pull. Wow, I'm running out of space now. But there's also horizontal and vertical. If you can imagine vertical meaning whenever you put like a weight above your head and like up and down, that's vertical. And for push, it's whenever you're going like this, right? So a horizontal push would be like a push-up because you're going like that, right? That could be your push-up. That could be your bench press, incline, and any other variation of the bench press. Even, yeah, I like your dips too, and dips. Vertical, that's like your overhead press, dumbbell seated press. And if you're at home, your piked push-ups. So pushing, that's going to target your, now we're going onto the upper body. That's like your chest, shoulders, and triceps. Pulling, that's like going to be your back and your biceps, your pulling motions. So a pulling horizontal, what do you think that's going to be, right? That's going to be a row. So barbell or dumbbell rows. You can do backpack rows. You can even, if you have like a towel, which you definitely do, if you're not showering, get the fuck off this page, you're disgusting. If you have a towel, you can wrap it around your door frame and like pull like that. And you can kind of do like a makeshift one if you don't have a backpack, but you probably are gonna have a backpack. But it just depends on what you want. If you like the towel one better, do that. You can still get some resistance out of that. You just wrap it around like the top of your door frame and pull with the towel. Or your bed sheets or whatever else you have on hand that you can just tug. And then finally, vertical pull, for at least these movements up here, is going to be your pull-ups, your chin-ups, or your lat pull-down. These target, again, your back and your biceps, but it's going to be you're pulling yourself up and you're pulling yourself down. So it's vertical. Does that make sense? I hope it does. And then, so once we have these compounds, well, wait, one more. We got the core. And finally, the core, it doesn't only count as a compound, as it's not really a compound movement, but it is still important because you want to be able to train your six-pack, right? There's 3 movements that I would recommend people do, and no more, no less. I am so sick and tired of these body weight like core routines that people do, like, oh, 30-minute abs, 30-minute shredded abs. Like, it's all bullshit, right? Like your abs are just like any other muscle, right? Like they need to be progressively overloaded. You have to do them for like weighted eventually over time, or at least a different variation. You can't just do like the same body weight workout for like 30 minutes and expect them to shred or to lose belly fat, because that's all bullshit. What you need are to choose at least 2 of these exercises. I recommend a hanging / laying knee or leg raise. I know it sounds pretty complicated, but once you look them up online, it's gonna make a lot more sense. That will target like your lower abs and help make those more defined. And honestly, it's just really fun to do. And if you have a pull-up bar, you might as well do them. And then you've got your RKC planks. So these are different from normal planks because even if you don't have anything weighted, you can still do them. If you were to imagine yourself in a plank position, it's like you're trying to like forcibly put like your elbows and like your toes together, but like not moving them. So you create all this tension in your abs, and I found that it makes my abs look even more defined and a great pump too. So I recommend that, or just any other plank variation that you like. Just whatever gets you in the working out is obviously the most important part. And then finally, I don't do these, but I have friends who do, and they enjoy them. I think they look too weird and a little like, just over the top. Cable crunches. They're easy to progress, which is nice, but you can't really do them at home. So I wouldn't really recommend doing them, but if you like them, if you're at a gym, go for it. My whole purpose here is to show you that here's like I'm giving you a blueprint right now, and here's options to choose from in your blueprint. Okay, so now we have all the movements here: your squat, hinge, push, pull, and core, and a bunch of different exercises. So what I want you to do is just to either take a mental image, hope you're taking notes in this video as well. It's completely valuable information, or some sort of screenshot, because now we're gonna put this plan into fruition. Now you have a bunch of exercises that you can do with or without a gym. Now it's time to put that plan into fruition, to actually make this happen. So let's say a client of mine had, 2 days a week in the gym. 2 days. If you only had 2 days to work out, here's what I recommend. Day 1, you just include twice of everything. So you include a hinge, a squat, a push, a pull, push horizontal, and then you want to do a push vertical, pull horizontal, push vertical, and then finally you want to do a core. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 exercises for one day. And then day 2, hinge, squat, push horizontal, push vertical, pull horizontal, push vertical, and your core. So you're hitting all these twice a week, and that's like the bare minimum that you need. If you only have 2 days, that is a perfect workout right there. As long as you follow the training principles I'm going to talk about in a second on this side, you can make some serious gains. Over time, you will build your dream physique. What I want to talk about first, before I get into progression and all that stuff, is talking about reps and sets. If you don't know, reps is like one movement with good form. So if you were to do a bench press and you were to lift it above your chest and come down back to a starting position, that's 1 rep. Or if you do like a push-up and you're doing like 1 and you're back to the starting position, that's 1 rep. Sets, on the other hand, all a set is I would describe it as a group of sets or a group of reps. So if I were to tell you, do 3 sets of 8 to 12, what would that mean to you? That would mean if you were to do a, let's just use bench press again. If you were to do a bench press or your horizontal push, I would want you to do do the bench 3 times and find a weight that you can do for 8 to 12 reps. So 8 to 12, 8 to 12, 8 to 12. Does that make sense? I know this is a video and I can't, like, I'm not actually live, but like, let me know if that actually makes sense or not. You know, you're doing 1, you rest. Another 1, you rest. Another 1, you rest. Rest, I'd recommend, depending on how heavy. If that felt pretty heavy, you feel pretty winded, anywhere between like 90 seconds or a minute and a half to like, let's say 3 minutes is like a good amount of time. Like any more than that, you're spending like a lot of time at the gym. 3 minutes is still pretty pushing it, but sometimes you need a lot of rest in between these sets. So I would say anywhere between like 90 seconds to 3 minutes, like if it's heavy. But if that felt pretty easy, or if you're not even trying to like go super heavy or hard, I would say like 45 to 60 seconds would be okay if it's easy. Cool? Cool. Okay. So now we have reps and sets all covered. How do you actually progress? Like, let's just say, hypothetically, you're a client of mine, and your name is Alex. I don't know why I chose Alex, but that's your name now. Your name is Alex. And Mr. Alex, I wanted you to do, let's say, 3 sets of pull-ups. Pull-ups for, again, 8 to 12 reps. And you're like, yeah, sure, coach, whatever, I'll do it. Even though I don't want to and it hurts. You did 12 reps. You rested for, let's say, 90 seconds. You did it again. Maybe this time you got like 12 reps again. You did it again. And lo and behold, you got 12 reps again. You are at the top of the rep scheme, right, Mr. Alex? So if that were week 1, week 2, I would recommend you do like, oh shit, dude, Alex, you did a great job. Your form looked really good on that. But here's what's gonna happen. I want you to either A, increase the weights, or better your form, or keep the form slower and more controlled. Or they call it the tempo. So either one of these, you know, if you didn't have weight on you, or if you're out of like heavy ass books to put in your backpack, I would just say like slow down the tempo. So if you were to do a pull-up, instead of you doing like super fucking fast, you would do like 1, 2, 3, hold it for a couple seconds, 1, 2, 3, just very, very slow. And you can easily progress that to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would get ridiculous, like keeping it that slow, but realistically you could do that until you had like the tools necessary and like more weight to have to like keep progressing. And let's say you chose to do more weight, like you had like more books in your backpack. So now you have like a 20-pound backpack. This time, instead of doing 12 for body weight, you did like, let's say 10, 9, and 8. So it's slowly going down. Next week, I would recommend you to keep the same weight. You know, you're still in that range, but I would want you to keep up in that same weight until you got to 12 again. So if next week you got like, let's say 10, 10, 10, we're getting closer, but not yet at that top range yet. And then the next week, lo and behold, Mr. Alex, you got 12, 12, 12. Boom, you are ready to keep going up in weight. And then I recommend you go up like 5, 10 pounds, maybe even 15, depending on like your fitness level or like the movements. And that's just how you progress. You change up the weight, or you change up, you know, like the tempo, or if you really wanted to, you can add in more reps too. But I wouldn't really recommend doing more than 12. Otherwise, you get to the point where it's gonna start to feel more like cardio than anything. You're not really gonna hit that failure point for muscle. You can build muscle anywhere between like 5 and 30 reps, but who's got the time to keep doing 30 reps of like push-ups and stuff like that, right? So just, if you can, slow down the tempo, slow down the movements, or keep up the weight. And that's really the gist of it. You know, you're given a plan. And for each of these, Okay, yeah. For each of these, you can order these however you want, but I would recommend doing the hard stuff first. So if you're on a 2-day split, hinges and squats are usually like the harder stuff. And so I would put them at the top. And then core is at the bottom because you can do core whenever you're tired or not tired. But also, yeah, if it's the hardest or if you want it to be your focus. So if you're doing, maybe on day 1, you can do like hinges and squats first, but maybe like the next week you can do your pushes and then leg stuff after. If the leg stuff gets boring, you can just like swap it all out. Push, your pulls, and then your leg stuff. So what's nice about this plan is that it works with you and your interests. It's not this like dogmatic, do it or nothing, all the way or none of the way like mentality that most people have in the gym now. It's if whatever works for you, this can fit, right? So let's see, what else should I just tell you? So 2 days, you got that down. 3 days, you get to have more options for like the 3-day part of the plan. 2 days, it's like, you got to hit all of them both days, right? If you don't, it's like, it's okay. It's better that you do something rather than nothing. But, if you want to get the most quote unquote optimal gains from that, you want to try to hit all 7 in each workout. 3-day split, you get a little bit more freedom. I mean, you can choose your split instead of doing like both full body. I have a client right now, he's like a nurse working like 4 days on, 3 days off. So he has those 3 days to do a upper, lower, full body. So we have him do like his upper body stuff here. If you can imagine like the upper push pull stuff here, and then core. That's what, like 5 exercises. And then we have him doing his lower body stuff here. I'll have him do like a squat, maybe like a hinge, maybe like another like a lunge or something if he wanted that. And then core. No, I don't have him. No, I don't have him. Do not have him do core right there. I usually have him doing like a couple more like squat stuff in case he wanted to, but we should keep lower days pretty light because full body, we are hitting the lower body again. And then we'll include, again, the upper stuff, lower stuff, core. And both days we'll do like cardio, and if we can, cardio. Just make it, it's very like flexible, the plan. It doesn't have to be this like super structured thing. It's just whatever works with your schedule and works with you. And then for day 4, this is like things get even more flexible since you're given more like time and options. You can do like an upper lower split where you do upper one day, second day lower. Maybe you want to do like upper again and lower. Yeah, do you see? All right, do you see my point? Is you kind of just have, you look at your schedule, you see how many days you have, and you work around that. You don't think about like, okay, I need to do 7 days a week, push-pull legs, otherwise I am wasting my time. No, you're gonna ask yourself, what can I really commit to for the next 10, 20, if not the rest of my life, like kind of years. This advice, it works. If you put, and I promise you right now, if you put execution and consistency and you follow these principles, you will build your dream physique, right? And I just made so many gym influencers broke from this video, and that puts a smile on my face because I am done seeing guys like you chasing, going around in circles, spinning your wheels, and not getting the results that you want. Hope that video was helpful. If you want more personalized help, I'm actually an online coach. So first link down below in the description, book a call with me, and we'll talk about your goals, your story, and how we can help each other out.